Yo, Jets Nation, we got some things to talk about. It is time to find our new offensive coordinator. So welcome to the stream, guys. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. We just heard from Robert Salah this morning. We heard actually from Woody Johnson as well. But in this stream, I want to really hone in on the offensive coordinator search. So here I have a list of some names to keep an eye on. So I really want to get your guys' thoughts about who you want the Jets to bring in, because there's a lot of conflicting opinions out there regarding who the New York Jets should probably consider bringing in as the offensive coordinator. Me personally, I'd prefer somebody that has experience, that's not a young candidate that is looking for his first opportunity. I would prefer to bring someone in that knows what they are freaking doing. So, welcome to the stream, guys. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday morning. If you guys can do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on your way into the show, as we are just getting started here on the Jets Media live stream. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're not already as well. We greatly appreciate that. So here's some offensive coordinator candidates that I came up with. We got Greg Olsen, who I think is going to be a really hot commodity. Could be a potential fit. We also heard that Derek Carr is officially being moved. The Raiders are looking to trade him before February 15th. So it'll be interesting to see if the Jets are actually going to go out there and get Derek Carr. If the Jets want Derek Carr, Greg Olsen is the guy that they should bring in to pair him up with Derek Carr, because he was the offensive coordinator for Derek Carr in his best seasons. And he also has a connection with Robert Salah. So keep an eye on for Greg Olsen. Right now, he is the Rams senior assistant coach. So he has a lot of experience. He's been in the league for a long time. And I think that Greg Olsen is a guy that you definitely have to consider. V-Man with a donation is talking about Greg Olsen as well. Derek Carr under Greg Olsen averaged over 4,000 yards, 22.2 touchdowns, 10.6 interceptions, and 66% completion percentage, 93.34 passer rating. Also had the Raiders 10th in points per game in 2020. Well, that is awesome. And if the Jets have ever had a chance to be an offensive firepower, that sounds good to me, V-Man. So definitely keep an eye on for Greg Olsen, because if we bring in Greg Olsen, that might mean that we're bringing in Derek Carr too. So that's definitely a partnership that I can see is very, very possible. So V-Man, I appreciate the donation as always, my friend. We also got Daryl Bevell, who is a coach that is currently on the Miami Dolphins coaching staff. He is their quarterback coach. He is their passing game coordinator. He was with Salah in Seattle. He was a Jacksonville OC. He has experience. I don't really know if Jets fans are too fond of that particular person, but that is someone that has experience as an OC, has a connection with Robert Salah. But I do want to say that's a very important thing that we need to keep in mind when the Jets are making this search, is that they are not honing in on the same Shanahan style scheme. They are open to changing it to a brand new scheme. And I think that's very important, because that opens up opportunities for other coaches that's not strictly that West Coast wide zone scheme. And I think that's awesome that the Jets are having an open mind and they're not narrow searching it just for that scheme. So definitely keep an eye on for that. Poppy with the $5 super chat says Carr and Devontae Adams for Zach first, Corey, and more. Not happening, Poppy, but I appreciate the advice, the hypothetical. But yeah, most likely not happening, my man. I don't think Devontae Adams is leaving the Raiders. I think it's just Derek Carr. Because I know Devontae Adams went to the Raiders because of Derek Carr, but I don't see that happening. So I appreciate the $5 donation, my friend. Really do appreciate it. Nathaniel Hackett. Now, Nathaniel Hackett's an interesting candidate because, he had a nightmare first season with the Denver Broncos as the head coach. He gets fired before the season is even done. But Nathaniel Hackett, man, he's been a great offensive coordinator. A big reason why he became the head coach is because of how good of an offensive coordinator he is. And you guys got to realize that, some coaches are just not meant to be head coaches, and some coaches are just phenomenal coordinators. And I think Nathaniel Hackett is a person that is a phenomenal coordinator, in my opinion. And he was someone that could not handle being a head coach, because being a head coach is completely different than being an offensive or defensive coordinator, because you're just honing on one side of the ball. You're not worried about the entire locker room. You're just focusing on that. And I don't know. Nathaniel Hackett is definitely a name to keep in mind. Frank Reich, I think, is the biggest pipe dream for the New York Jets. I don't really see that happening personally, because I do feel like he's going to try to get a head coaching gig. I don't feel like Frank Reich is in a rush to go out there and be an offensive coordinator when he could potentially be a head coach. And there are some head coach positions open that I'm sure Frank Reich is going to want to be go after. Matt Nagy is a guy to look out for. He's right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. We know that he was the Chicago Bears head coach. He comes from that Andy Reid tree, so that'll definitely be a different change of scheme if we bring him over there. And Matt Nagy is another guy that didn't really work out as a head coach, but I think he's a very good offensive coordinator, in my opinion. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't really see Cliff Kingsbury happening. And I'm noticing I put Matt Nagy twice on this list. But I don't see Cliff Kingsbury happening, man. I just don't think his style of offense really fits what this team is trying to implement here. I feel like what Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas's philosophy is, it's more about, establishing a run instead of being an air-raided offense like a Cliff Kingsbury. So I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury would make a ton of sense, but hey, you never know. Pep Hamilton is a guy that's interesting. I've seen his name being thrown around. He was a Texans offensive coordinator. Now you might think, okay, well, the Texans are one of the worst teams in the league. Why are we going after Pep Hamilton? But I don't know. That's just definitely a name that you got to bring up, because I feel like the Jets are going to really try to widen their search, widen it, make sure they can interview a bunch of people. Pep Hamilton has a reputation for developing young quarterbacks, so in case they want to bring him in to help Zach Wilson, that is someone to keep in mind. Brian Johnson, he's another guy. He's the Eagles quarterback coach. He was responsible for developing Jalen Hurts. He's a young 35-year-old coach who was looked at as one of those young offensive minds that is on the rise. But that's another guy that has inexperience at being a play caller, which is why I'd prefer not to do that. And Tom Clements. Tom Clements is the quarterback's coach for Green Bay, and that's obviously familiarity. He's going to come from Matt LaFleur's system, and he'll be coming to the Jets, who were just leaving off Mike LaFleur. That's another guy to keep in mind. And then Todd Monken, I have this list because I see a lot of Jets fans talking about Todd Monken. Obviously, he's a coach that we interviewed for a head coaching gig. Didn't end up happening. Now he's with Georgia, and he's their offensive coordinator. I don't see Todd Monken coming here at all. But I just want to put him on the list because I know a lot of you guys in the chat and a lot of people on Twitter are like, yeah, Todd Monken, bring him in. Don't really see that happening. So I want to get your guys' thoughts in the chat right now. Who do you want the Jets to bring in as the offensive coordinator? We also heard some news, by the way, from Robert Saleh himself that the Jets have fired offensive line coach John Benton. Miles Austin will also be relieved of his duties because of his suspension. And Rob Calabrese, more conflicting reports. We heard that Rob Calabrese is getting let go by Aaron Wilson, but then apparently the beat is saying that he's not being fired. I don't know. Okay. We'll see about that. And it seems like Brant Boyer's job is safe, but the big news is John Benton's out, offensive coordinator's out, and that's a really, really big deal. And that also makes you realize that the Jets are definitely open for a new scheme, because if you're getting rid of John Benton, he specializes in that wide zone scheme that we're trying to implement here with LaFleur. So getting rid of him opens up the Jets opportunities here to get a new scheme in the building. And hey, I'm open to a new scheme. I'm sure the Jets are as well, which I think is really smart that they're not narrow-minded on that, West Coast style. So I see a lot of people in the chat saying, I want Olsen, DUI Benton. Yep, he did get BUI. Bills quarterback coach. Yeah, maybe. Maybe the Bills quarterback coach is someone to keep in mind, no doubt. I don't have him on this list. Hawk says, we need an offensive coordinator who uses a fullback. Brees behind a fullback in a traditional running offense would be dominant, like Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Not going to lie. John, what's good, John? 100% agree. Has to be an OC with experience. He's a play caller and working with a young quarterback. Presumably, Zach will be on the team. Yeah, I do assume that Zach will be on the team, but according to Salah, man, they are going to be ultra aggressive heading into this offseason in terms of upgrading the quarterback position. Now, before we go any further in the stream, guys, I do want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's show, which is indeed Prize Picks. Prize Picks has a great offer that they're giving you guys for the playoffs. If you put any money down, they match your deposit up to $100. So you get $50 deposited, you get $50 for free. If you use my promo code JetsMedia, click the link down below in the description, guys, for your boy, and let's get going and win some money. I feel like there's a lot of awesome bets to be made and money to be made in the playoffs. I feel like the NFL playoffs is the best time to bet, in my opinion, because I just feel like I don't know why. I just love betting during the playoffs. I don't really bet that much during the regular season. I kind of save it for the playoffs. Unfortunately, there's no Jets to talk about, but as you can see, man, what Prize Picks gives you is a lot of player odds, and you can make an awesome parlay, and it gives you an opportunity to win some big-time money, and you pick the over and under on their projected total. If they all hit, you win some good money. Even if you get 4 out of the 5 right, you still win some money back, which is my personal favorite of Prize Picks. So definitely make sure you guys use the promo code JetsMedia to download Prize Picks today. If you guys do use my code, let me know down below in the description so I can give you guys a big-time shout-out, because I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into the show and supporting the Jets Media sponsors, because it really is a big reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing here on Jets Media. So another big shout-out to Prize Picks. They got a lot of fun. I've made a lot of money on Prize Picks this season, guys, just being straight up with you guys. I've won 800 at one point. I've won over $1,000 at one point. I've won 400 at one point. I've obviously lost some money, but overall, I'm definitely up. And that's all because of Prize Picks and their great format that they got. So I'm going to wait until the weekend to place a bet, but you guys know the drill. Click the link down below in the description. Sign up for Prize Picks today. We greatly, greatly appreciate Prize Picks for being the proud sponsor of this show. So getting back into the offensive coordinator candidates, I feel like the most likely scenario, or the most popular scenario, I'd say, when it comes to the New York Jets and what people want, is Greg Olsen and Derek Carr. Would you guys want Greg Olsen and Derek Carr to be the pair for next season? Because if that's the case, man, we're going into the season with a brand new quarterback, a brand new offensive coordinator that have worked together, that has familiarity with each other. Robert Salah has also worked with Greg Olsen. And you're talking about a wide receiver in Garrett Wilson that I'm not saying is at the level of Devontae Adams, but I do think that, we know that Derek Carr loves his first option. He loves his number one receiver, whether it was Devontae Adams this past year, whether it was Darren Waller all those years. Derek Carr loves to force feed the number one receiver on his team. And if we do get Derek Carr and we do get Greg Olsen, I think that's going to help out Garrett Wilson a lot. You can also make the argument, if the Jets want to be uber aggressive, why not go out there and get freaking DeAndre Hopkins? Why can't we go out there with an offense with Greg Olsen calling the shows, with Derek Carr, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Elijah Moore, and then a revamped offensive line with Breece Hall returning? I don't know. Is that a pipe dream, Richie? Maybe. But I don't know if we got the money and the resources to do that, because we do have to extend Quinnen Williams still. Derek Carr is going to be expensive, and DeAndre Hopkins will be expensive. So I don't know if that is going to be possible in terms of the cap. But let's dream big. Let's dream freaking big, folks. Come on. Dream big. What do you guys think of that hypothetical? You bring in Derek Carr. You hire Greg Olsen. You trade for DeAndre Hopkins. You revamp the offensive line. You draft an offensive tackle in the first round. You get beef up the interior. You get depth. And then you go out there and trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. I think DeAndre Hopkins can have a similar season to what Brandon Marshall did with the Jets. Because, remember, we got Brandon Marshall not in his prime. We got Brandon Marshall at the end of his career. But Brandon Marshall literally had his best season of his career with the Jets. And that was him in his 30s. That was him at the end of his career. I don't know. That's just me giving a pipe dream, man. Another thing about Derek Carr you have to realize as well that's interesting is, will the Jets have to trade for him, or will they get lucky enough where they don't have to trade for him and he gets cut and they can just sign him? That's the best case scenario. We do not want to give up assets for Derek Carr. Personally, I'd prefer that not to happen, because If we have to trade for Derek Carr, that means we might have to sacrifice one of our top picks. Prefer to hold on to those picks. Joe Douglas is a GM that's proved to be very good with those picks. Let's keep them. Keep the picks. Hopefully the Raiders do not trade Derek Carr and they're forced to release the man and he hits free agency. And then we already have Greg Olsen on our offensive coaching staff. He gets brought in. There we go. Now, obviously, Derek Carr is not the only option for the quarterback position. There's also pipe dreams like Lamar Jackson. There's also other quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, if you want to talk about that. I don't really think Jimmy Garoppolo is that likely anymore after firing Mike LaFleur. I think Jimmy Garoppolo made sense keeping LaFleur because of the familiarity with the scheme. But the fact that we might be switching up the scheme here, I don't think Jimmy G is really an option anymore. For sure. Mangle just replied to the opening offensive line coach. And I would love. Bring in Mangold. Bring him in. Bring him in. Bring him in. Bring him in. Chris says, bro, I don't really care about the pick. I just want a quarterback. I don't want to be stuck with Jimmy G. He's always hurt. And look at what Purdy has done in San Fran. Yeah, listen, if you got to give up picks to get your quarterback, you do it. No doubt about it. You do not say, okay, I'm not going to give up picks for a quarterback because I want to build to the draft. You heard Woody Johnson today. You heard Robert Salah today. These coaches are will be very aggressive. Woody Johnson says that they are a quarterback position away. Robert Salah said they're going to be uber aggressive at tackling the quarterback spot. So that tells you right here that the Jets, they're adding a quarterback this offseason. It's going to be a freaking ride to figure out who it's going to be. Is it Derek Carr? Is it Lamar? Is it Gino? I don't know. Who will it be? I'm just saying, me personally, man, I'm on the Derek Carr wave. I'm on the Greg Olsen, Derek Carr wave, man, because it's not like we need a superstar at quarterback. Superstar would be great, but superstars are very hard to find. And Lamar Jackson is the only potential superstar to become available. And also, by the way, Lamar Jackson has been injured in the most crucial points of the season in back-to-back years. I don't know if anyone's thinking about that, but that's something to be concerned about, in my opinion. Derek Carr is durable. He has proven to be able to put the ball where it needs to be. And we just need an offense that can be average. If this New York Jets offense last season was an average offense, putting up 22 points per game, the Jets would have been 11-6 and in the playoffs this freaking weekend. But the fact is the offense was the biggest issue because of quarterback play, because of offensive line play, because of offensive coordinator ineptitudes. I don't think the offense is, you got to point the finger at one particular person or one particular position or one particular coach. It was a collective failure. The quarterback position was a disaster. Who's going to make the playoffs when you have three freaking quarterbacks playing? Okay, you can say the 49ers, but Jets aren't the 49ers. Sorry. And all we need is average quarterback play, average offense, and this defense is that freaking good and only going to get better that I really think that this defense has a chance to carry this team to the playoffs and a championship. I'm serious when I say that. I know a lot of people feel like, this defense is overrated and stuff, but what they've done this past season, man, was very good. There's things that needs to be cleaned up. They need more turnovers. I get all that. They need to get the interceptions up. But what they've shown is they are a winning championship level defense if you can get them in freaking off an offense. Okay? So getting a guy like Derek Carr, getting a guy like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, I don't freaking know. Get me somebody that knows how to throw the football, and we're not worrying about development, right? We're worrying about Zach Wilson developing. We don't know what Zach is in year 2. Mike White, he has very limited experience. His story was great. We were hopeful that maybe he could be our guy. No, that's not the case. Joe Flacco, obviously a shell of himself. We're not expecting Joe Flacco to be our guy or be even able to step in and go on a playoff run with. So we just never had a quarterback this season that has any type of experience or any type of potential to live up to. And that's the reality of the situation. And, the quarterback position, big time question mark. Offensive coordinator position, obviously big time question mark. But another question mark that I think that we need to realize is just as important is the offensive line. And it's going to come down to this. Is Mekhi Becton going to be a full go? Is Elijah Vera Tucker a full go? Are we going to re-sign Connor McGovern? Is Lincoln Thompson going to take a step in the right direction next season? Is Dwayne Brown returning? Because he is under contract with the Jets, but he does have a shoulder issue that is going to get taken care of in the offseason. So is that going to hold himself back at 38 years old? Nate Herbig, free agent. So the offensive line is going to have to be completely revamped and, more importantly, need to stay freaking healthy. Because doesn't even matter who the Jets bring in on the offensive line at this point if they can't stay healthy. That's what we saw this past season, man. That's what we saw this past season. Let's see an offense that can just go out there, make plays, protect the quarterback, establish a run. Because we got the playmakers on offense, guys. If you're quarterback and you go into the Jets, you got Garrett Wilson to play with, who looked like an absolute star as a rookie. You got Breece Hall coming off an injury, who looked like an absolute star. You got the players on the offensive line. They just need to stay healthy. You got quality tight ends. Conklin and Uzama are no bums, but they're no stars either. Elijah Moore. Hey, don't sleep on Elijah Moore in year 3 now. I think Mike LaFleur was not using him properly, and there was some type of personal relationship issues between E. Moore and LaFleur. I think that we bring in a new offensive coordinator. Watch out for the Elijah Moore breakout party, man. I think Elijah Moore is way too freaking talented to only put up the numbers he put up this season, especially him being healthy all year long. Who, by the way, which is a big deal because Elijah Moore was not healthy as a rookie. So the fact that Elijah Moore is, coming off a disappointing year 2, I'm not going to put all the blame on LaFleur. I think a lot of it has to do with the quarterback play, but I think that Elijah Moore is a lot more talented than we think, and we're not seeing his full potential because of the scheme and the offense. That Moore jersey is going back up next season. Hell yeah, John. You know that my signed Elijah Moore jersey is just sitting in my closet waiting to put it up proudly. I got sauce up there for now. The Jets should go all out for Carr and Lamar. I wouldn't be super mad if we're stuck with mid-tier quarterback like Minshew, but if news comes out that we don't go all out for one of those top quarterbacks, I'd be mad. Personally, I'd be pretty disappointed with Gardner Minshew. I would. I really would. I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but Gardner Minshew, guys, he's quality. He's average, maybe below average, but let's shoot a little higher than Minshew, all right? Let's go for Derek Carr. Let's go for Lamar. I can name you 7 quarterbacks I would prefer over Minshew personally. I don't know. That's just me. This is Salah's make or break point. He is skating on thin ice, grounded like Newark Airport. Yeah, this is really, Salah understands probably that this is it for him. He needs to bring in someone that knows that he can get this offense going immediately this season. Like this upcoming 23-24 season needs to be all about scoring points. Getting a quarterback that knows how to stay healthy and move the ball. It's that freaking simple. Doesn't seem simple, doesn't sound simple, but Salah knows. Salah understands. And I got confidence that he'll be able to do that. So, guys, if you're just tuning into the show, we have over 100 people watching. I would greatly appreciate that if you can simply do your boy a solid, hit that like button. How many likes do we got? We only have 25. That's it? Only 25 of you guys are like, yeah, Richie's cool. I'll simply hit the button. There's other 75 of you guys sitting back didn't hit the like button. So please do me a favor, guys. It would mean a lot to the channel if you can just simply do that for your boy. I just feel like there's a lot of things. And I also am curious how long this process is going to be dragged out. I don't know if it's going to be a week, couple weeks, couple days, a month. until we actually get our offensive coordinator. But the weird thing about this whole situation, guys, especially with the Derek Carr stuff, is Derek Carr, he's going to have to be moved like soon. This isn't something we have to wait until March and wait for the new league year or anything. The Derek Carr situation is going to get resolved very fast, whether he's on the Jets or not. The Raiders are open to be trading him now. They are calling people on the phone now. And I don't think anybody in the playoffs currently wants Derek Carr because they obviously all have their quarterback situation pretty much solid. All the teams that would want Derek Carr are sitting at home like the Jets. So if I'm the Jets, I call the Raiders. I ask what the compensation they'd like. He makes some moves. And also, Derek Carr has a no-trade clause, so he gets to choose where he wants to go. And if I'm Derek Carr, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna not sign off in any trade, and I want to hit free agency so I can go to a team that doesn't have to give up capital so I can win with them. How about that? Hey, bro, quick question. What do you think we have to give up for Lamar? Look up what Deshaun Watson was. I mean, you're talking about 3 firsts, a second and a third, and a 200-plus fully guaranteed contract. That's a lot. That is a lot. It's a lot, man. You're talking about all your future capital, all your blue chip capital for Lamar. And my issue with Lamar is his injury concern. I do not want to send all of those picks, all of that money to a quarterback that hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I do love Lamar Jackson, by the way. I'm a big Lamar fan. I've always defended him. I always loved Lamar's game. I believe the OC job is between Olsen and Bevell. If they plan to resurrect Zach Wilson, then Greg Olsen is your man. Yeah, I think Greg Olsen is the guy as well. Brian Johnson, former UF OC and QB coach, once said he's going to turn Tyler Trask into Lamar before his Heisman candidate season. Yeah, I got him on the list, man, for a reason. But let's say we do get Lamar, that basically means we're giving up on Zach. Yeah, no doubt. If we do give up, if we go get Lamar, Zach is done here, right? This is a great question. Will it be a new system or same system? So the answer to this is it could be either. The New York Jets are open to changing the system, which is a really big deal. Because if they were going to just narrow the search to just the same system that they've been running the past 2 years, a lot of these coaches on this list wouldn't even be considered. But the fact is that the Jets are open-minded to switching up the system and getting in the right coach and the right quarterback pairing. So they could bring in the same system, no doubt, but they're open to changing it. And I think that's a big deal. I think that's a pretty darn big deal. By the way, guys, we have a very fun stream tomorrow morning. I got a lot of Jets content creators joining my show tomorrow morning. And I will be making that stream today, so you guys will see the announcement. But we're going to have an Avengers-style stream tomorrow. All the top Jets content creators that you know very well will all be on the show at the same time. Stay on the lookout. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Wake up and watch us talk some Jets. Who should the Jets go out there and get? We're going to recap the season, preview the offseason, all that fun stuff, man. All that fun stuff. So just a little preview for tomorrow. I'm going to be making that stream soon. Why trade for Carr when you can trade for discount double check? I know that John's a big A-Rod guy. I don't know. Good question. A-Rod is definitely a quarterback I'd consider. No doubt about it. Talk about a quarterback that's Super Bowl pedigree. It's Aaron Rodgers. Sad to say, don't have a ton of faith in this situation. Feels like deja vu. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no reason to blindly believe this is going to be a great situation, because the reality is right here, guys, this isn't a good situation the Jets are in. The Jets going through this search right now isn't positive. It's not. I mean, it's positive because you feel like there's change that's happening, but the reality is it'd be best if we didn't have to go through this issue, if we were in the playoffs right now and the offense was winning, offense was scoring, and LaFleur was our guy. That's the best case scenario. But the reality is LaFleur is not our guy, and this sucks. Either due to injury or not having the right personnel, the wide zone running scheme failed miserably. The Jets did better when they ran gaps in power schemes. Think first Bills game. Yeah, I agree. With a broken thumb, A-Rod looked better than any QB we've ever had. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a freaking legend, guys. He is also up there in age. He's also probably not getting better. He's probably on the decline, which is why, I would like Derek Carr because of his age. I mean, how old is Carr? I'm assuming he's in his low 30s, but I want to just double check. Yeah, Derek Carr is turning 32. So he's got a lot of football left in him. I mean, that's like a prime veteran age right there for a quarterback. When you're in your low 30s, that's the age where you're like established. For sure. I'm confused. The season started with a winning record, so if they won with that they had, where did it all go wrong? Well, Frank, if you want to talk about winning in the first part of the season, you got to put in consideration about Breece Hall and AVT going down. That was the reason why we were winning. And that's not excuses. That's just a reality, guys. We were winning games. We were 5-2 because of Breece Hall. I mean, that Miami Dolphins game, he literally had 200 yards of offense. That Broncos game, he had a 64-yard touchdown run, and that was the only touchdown we scored that game, winning by a score because of Breece. Against the Steelers, we were running the ball. Zach Wilson made plays in the fourth quarter. The defense was playing well. But right when AVT and Breece Hall went down, man, the identity of the team disappeared. And the identity was being a ground and pound offense. And that's the unfortunate reality, man. I feel like Sean McVay leaves and the Rams are rebuilding. Then we got to pursue hard on Stafford. Yeah, I mean, Stafford is a quarterback that I feel like no one's really discussing. I don't know. I mean, he was injured this season. Won a Super Bowl last year, obviously, so you can't really complain. But we'll see, man. As much as Lamar would be great, his price for contract and picks would be too costly. Lamar has played 16 games once and threw for 3,000 once. Yeah, what you're getting with Lamar Jackson is a dual threat quarterback that is a playmaker at the quarterback position that can obviously be explosive on the ground, one of the best mobile quarterbacks we've ever seen, and the durability is definitely an issue. You find out about your OC when you lose weapons. It has to come up with backup plans and make adjustments. LaFleur made no adjustments all the way. And that's exactly right, Hawk. You can't really, when you look at the season for the offense, you don't use the injuries as an excuse. What you do is it shows you the true essence of the quality of the offensive coordinator. Because a good offensive coordinator, despite all the injuries, would be able to at least put up decent numbers, not embarrassing stuff. At the end of the year, guys, we literally went 3 straight games with not a touchdown. That's inexcusable. I don't care about any injuries. You got to be able to put your team in a good situation to score points. And injuries are a part of the game. And if you're an offensive coordinator that also all the teams at the end of the year knew exactly what was coming and was shutting down our offense because they anticipated everything. And when you cannot adjust and you cannot be a little more creative and switch up and adjust in the middle of the season, you're not ready for the job. We're like the Titans when Henry is out. The Titans are not the same. Breece is going to be or even better than Henry. A healthy Breece Hall has all the potential to be as good as Henry, no doubt, in his own way. Let's not forget Lamar won a Heisman and MVP. Only him and Cam Newton and Barry Sanders have done that with the last 40 years. I love Lamar, man. Give me Lamar Jackson, no doubt. I always defended Lamar whenever I heard people. Mike was a scapegoat. Salah, as a head coach, also bears responsibility. What was your OC supposed to do with the terrible offense? Listen, I think this offense, it wasn't really all on LaFleur. That's something that a lot of Jets fans are aware of. LaFleur feels like the scapegoat because he's the one getting fired, but also our offensive line coach got let go. So it wasn't just LaFleur. It was the entire staff. It was the incompetence at the offensive line. It was all the injuries. It was the bad quarterback play. It was all in one. And LaFleur seems like the scapegoat, but the Jets just wanted to make sure that they made a change, and they didn't feel like LaFleur was doing what he needed to do to be able to lead this team to the playoffs next season. That's really my thoughts of that, man, because when you're an offensive coordinator and you can't really adjust on the fly with all the adversity, man, and you're young and this is your second year ever doing it, and you're a team like the Jets that kind of feels like they're in a win now stage without a quarterback, that's it, man. That's really it. You need to be able to put up average numbers. And I'll say it again, the New York Jets would have 11 wins if they put up a league average points per game at 22. We didn't score a touchdown the last 3 weeks. That can't happen. When you're at the end of the season in December and January, you need to be playing your best football, not your worst. We played our worst football of the season at the end of the year. That needs to be the best time because what that tells me is you're supposed to be getting better and better as the season progresses, stacking up weeks, learning from mistakes as the season goes on. The season is never going to be perfect. You're never going to win every single game. You're going to have adversity. You're going to have injuries. But the good teams are the ones that get better in December and January. And the Jets got worse. They got worse. The injuries caught up to them, and they couldn't get a grasp of it. I think that's really what it comes down to. And Salah said it beautifully, in my opinion, in his press conference the other day. He wasn't using the injuries as an excuse. He was holding himself and his coaching staff accountable, saying, we did not do a good enough job of handling the injuries on this team this season. We were not able to get a good grasp of the offensive line, the carousel. We're not able to get a good grasp of the quarterback play in terms of all the injuries. They did not do a good job at that. And that's true. They didn't. They didn't do a good job at it. And when the injuries really started to stockpile, this coaching staff just completely fumbled. They weren't able to handle it. The better coaches in the league, no matter the injuries that you suffer, are able to handle it. And I'm not saying handle it and make it like a top 10 unit, but at least be average, right? Put your team in right situations to succeed and win games. That's my point. You put up 21 and we are a playoff team, but I personally put it on the head coach. I hope I'm wrong. Of course, the head coach deserves blame. There's no doubt about it. LaFleur seems like the scapegoat, but Robert Salah also, had some boneheaded mistakes of his own. Clock management issues at the end of the season, lifeless sometimes, boneheaded penalties. So it's not all on LaFleur. Salah needs to improve, and he'll tell you that himself. No doubt. I agree. So, this is going to be a very interesting search. Do we have the Jets' future offensive coordinator here on this list? I don't know. There could be a coach that I didn't list on here that we can hire for all I know. But these are the guys that I kind of came up with that I feel like are the most likely. For sure. So let me know your guys' thoughts. If you feel like there's anybody else that I didn't list here. If I had to guess, man, the most likely scenario is Greg Olsen with Derek Carr. I feel like that's the most likely. That's the most, you want your offensive coordinator to have a connection with your quarterback. I kind of don't want to have a new OC, new quarterback getting used to each other for the first time. That you kind of want some sort of continuity, some type of familiarity, because if it's a brand new scheme, brand new quarterback, And then you got Garrett Wilson learning a whole new scheme. You got all these players learning new schemes. Especially if it's an experienced offensive coordinator, that could be a mess. So give me experience. Give me proof that you know what you're doing, right? Is that too much to ask for? Give me proof that you know what you're freaking going to be doing. Now, I wonder, is there a team out there, guys, that you think is going to be in the running for Derek Carr, besides the Jets, obviously? The Colts? Texans? I don't know. What other team would be going out there and bidding for Derek Carr besides the Jets? The Patriots? Titans? Dolphins? I don't know. Arizona's a good one. No, it's not actually. Kyler Murray's staying there. Rams? People wanted to see the Jets coaches make adjustments. Well, here is an adjustment. Salah is willing to do whatever system works best for the team. That's a fact. This is big, man. This is a really big thing. The fact that Robert Salah is open to a new system on offense is an adjustment. He's not narrow-minded to know this is the only way of football that I know. I only know the West Coast Shanahan wide zone scheme. He's open to change, and that does tell you a lot. Commanders, Saints, Falcons, Tampa Bay. Derek Carr has a no trade clause. I don't see how he gets traded when he could just wait till he gets cut and go wherever he wants, unless he wants to keep the same contract by being traded. Yeah, he has no trade clause, so if he wanted to, he can veto anything. We get Olsen and Carr, every Jets record gets broke next season. It's true. And it's going to happen, guys. Olsen and Carr is a lock. Let's go. Bring them in. Bring them both in. I'm all in on the Carr Olsen wave, bro. I'm all in. So, guys, if you're joining the show, if you haven't already, it would mean a lot to me if you can simply hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel if you're not already, man. We got a lot of fun content coming your way throughout the offseason covering what the Jets will be doing with their offensive coordinator, who they're going to get at the new quarterback spot, previewing the draft, free agency, trade market, recapping this past season. It's a lot of fun stuff coming your way throughout the offseason, man. So if you're not already subscribed, consider that. And also like this stream if you're not already, man. Really does help out the channel. I'm going to wrap up the stream here in just a couple of minutes. Again, tomorrow we will be live in the morning with a bunch of Jets content creators giving a nice season recap. Going to have Jets Talk 24/7, Green Bean, Matt O'Leary, Jake Asman, Ali from Loyal NY Jet fans, my friend Jack. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning. It's going to be a great, great time. And we're going to be obviously talking about the offensive coordinators of who the Jets should bring in. We're going to be recapping the season that just finished because I don't think we should forget about that. And it's going to be a good time, man. I appreciate you guys big time. All the support on the channel means the world to me. And this is going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun time. I appreciate you guys. Let's freaking go Jets as always. And any news, any updates, anything that I see report-wise that you guys see as well on Twitter, I'll be first to give it to you here live to give you guys my overall thoughts so we can all talk about it and have an open dialogue about what the Jets are doing at the offensive coordinator spot and other offensive coaching staff positions. So that's really it, guys. I appreciate all the love. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and that's going to wrap up today's stream. Let's go Jets. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.